Hello everyone, David here with USCutter. I'm here to discuss the MH MK2 panel. I've actually gone ahead and turned on the MH vinyl cutter. As you can see, everything looks like it's good and ready to go. First off, the reset button on the starter panel. This light will turn on the moment you turn on your vinyl cutter. It will always be on. If you press reset, you'll notice that all it does is it moves carriage to the far right and presses the red button. That is the stopping button. That tells the vinyl cutter to go no further. So what we want to do here is we're actually just going to cycle through all the menu options so that you know what's there to use. So first off, the offline and pause button, when you press this, this light turns on and you'll see that the screen now says move X0, Y0. That's telling us that the carriage is all the way over to the right at a position of X0, Y0. If you use the F plus and F minus buttons, you'll see that in offline mode, we can actually move the carriage. Obviously, when it gets over to the far right, it says, hey, I can't go any further, hence making that burring sound. So the next step is we want to press the forward and backward buttons, the V plus and V minus. And you'll see that it actually makes the roller move forward and back. This is how you roll your material in and out. And you can see here that it actually, as we press the buttons, it should change. So there you have it. That is how you actually move the carriage. To get out of this mode, there's two ways. One, you can press the offline button again, which if your carriage is in a different spot other than the far right, if I press the offline, it will reset the carriage. The next one is we can press the origin button right here, and if we move the carriage, let's say, to the middle, and we want to start cutting right here, we press the origin button, and watch as I press it what happens to the carriage. If I press it once, it locks it, and if I press it again, it bounces the carriage up and down, or the carriage arm up and down, saying, I'm going to start cutting here. And if you look, it's no longer in the offline mode. It is now ready to cut from this position. The last button is the setup button. Now, automatically, when your vinyl cutter is on, and after you press any kind of button, it's going to go to cut speed and cut pressure. The speed and pressure, by default, is usually at the max. What we want it on is 300 and 100. That is the average setting for a 3mm or 4mm vinyl. Anything higher, maybe by a few points isn't bad, but by 20 or 30 points, likely very bad. It's likely you're doing something wrong, or there's something wrong with your setup. So what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and just press the up and down button. You'll see that V plus and V minus controls the cut speed or velocity, and the F plus and F minus control the cut pressure. So automatically we have the ability to actually control the speed and pressure, but take note of the fact that when it's on this mode, when it's on the online, I guess is a good way to put it, you'll see that it in fact has this option. You can't move the carriage left and right. But by pressing the reset button, we're going to go ahead and move the carriage over the rest. The reset button sets everything to default. Okay? So the last thing I want to go through is if you press setup, you'll notice that you can actually cycle through two different menus, the cut speed and cut pressure, and the up speed and baud rate. The up speed controls how fast the carriage arm moves up. By default, it's 380, and I've never honestly seen a time when you needed to change it. The baud rate for older MHs should be on 4800. For MK2s, it should be 9600. And how you know it's an MK2, if you go over to the left side of the machine, you'll see right here, MH871 MK2. The 871 represents the size, and the MK2 represents the model. So we know exactly what we're using here. Now, the last thing I want to go over is the test button. Obviously, I don't have any material in, but when your material is in, you can just press the test button, and it cuts a small square with a small diamond in it. In some cases, depending on your motherboard, it will cut a star. So those are the two different shapes that you'll have, but always a square around it. That's to show you if there's any issues moving forward, backward, and if there's any issues moving left, right, and of course diagonally. So at that point, normally you're able to actually troubleshoot and figure out what's going on here. And actually, that concludes the entire panel. The last thing we want to do is go ahead and press setup. When all these lights are, the two lights are off right here, this means you're on the main screen. If online is on, or if setup is on, it means that you cannot cut from the vinyl or from the computer. It only takes directions from the computer if it's on the main screen. That concludes this tutorial.